Good afternoon, everyone. It's a great day in the neighborhoods. And this is Deborah Jones, your host for Blue Table Talk, along with my co host, Toya Ozan. Hey, Toya.
Hello, how are you?
Okay, so you turned your volume down. So I don't know what you did with your volume. So you turned it down a little bit. So,
Can you hear me?
yeah, just vaguely, but I can hear you. Can you talk one more time?
Hello.
Okay. Anyway, anyway, it's election time, and so with that being said, we got to know our candidates, and by us knowing our candidates, we got to listen to them when they talk to us. We got to ask them questions. We got to see where they're coming from, where they're going with everything. But we're going to talk tonight. We're talking to Albert Turner. He is running. He is running for re-election of at-large councilman. So he'll be on in a few minutes, but before he come on, I'll go ahead and talk about the voting. Early voting starts April the 24th, which is next week, um, 2023 through May the 2nd, 2023. And the locations for early voting would be Rogers Park. Hey, Kathy, Rogers Park and Jefferson County Courthouse, John Paul Davis, Theodore Jones Library. Those are only four locations that you can do early voting at. So, but you can do it anywhere, any other locations, but those are the only four. Now, when it comes to election day, which is May 6th, all the locations will be open. Okay, so the date and hours for the locations that will be open for early voting April 24th, Monday through Friday. The doors will open at 8 a.m. and they will close at 5. On April 29th, which is the following week, which would be that Saturday, the doors will open at 8 a.m. again, and it would close at 5 o'clock. On April the 30th, which is that Sunday, with what we call the pews to the polls, it would open at 12 noon and it would close at 5 p.m. So we give me a lot of time for early voting. So that's what you need to do, just get out and go and vote. And then on May the 1st through the 2nd, we have Monday and Tuesday. The polls will open from 7 a.m. and they will close at 7 p.m. If you know anybody that wants to vote or need to vote, because we all need to vote, but if you want to vote and they don't have transportation, hey, give them a ride to the polls. Let them know that, hey, I got you, because everybody needs to vote. Everybody needs to voice their opinion. And when you voice your opinion, and when you make your voice be known, it's by pushing that button and voting. So that's where we're going. So tonight, I see on my podcast right now, I have Kathy Wingate and Cheryl. Hey, Cheryl, and Sharon, and so I'm telling y'all, hey, and go ahead and push that share button, because Sharon is caring. And so we wait for AJ. He just texted, say he was on his way home. He'll be home in a couple of minutes so he can get on. So we're waiting for him to get on. So, do you have anything to say, Toya, while we waiting?
No, ma'am, I do not.
Okay, so we're, like I said, we're waiting for our guest tonight, our candidate tonight, and I will be having a lot of most of all these candidates on tonight. Like I said, we have AJ Turner Friday at 3 o'clock. I know most of you guys will be at work. From 3 to 4, we'll have Roy West. He's running for mayor, and then the following week, Tori, do you have the schedule?
Yes, ma'am, I do have the schedule. Give me 1 second. On Monday, we will have Terry Roy. Uh, and on the 9th, no, that's all we have so far.
Terry Roy on
Yes,
Monday.
yes,
We did
ma'am.
something. They did something for Tuesday and Wednesday as well. No, I know we wouldn't didn't do anything for Wednesday, but Tuesday we didn't have anybody for Tuesday.
No, ma'am, we're still debating on. We're trying to wait for two candidates to let us know if they can come on, and the following week we will have Pastor Felshaw on Monday,
What day? What day is that?
the 24th.
The 24th, the day of early voting.
Yes, ma'am.
The day of early voting, and that's fantastic. So he'll be on at 6:30, right?
Correct. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so those are the people that will be on the podcast, and we're still waiting for other people. I think there was another person. Oh, we have to do the school board, and so they probably will be on. within the time. When I do the school board, I'm gonna do more than one at a time. So we'll do quite a few, and then we'll go from there. So, it, if you have anything that you want to say before AJ comes up, because I know he has a lot to say. AJ has done a lot in the community, and so I know he has a lot to say. He's running, like I said, he's running for re-election. So, with that being said, you have to you have to vote for if he's done anything, and if it's doing something. We got to know our candidates and know what to expect out of them, because like I've been saying over and over and over, we have to hold them accountable for what they say. And so as we hold them accountable, then we know that if they run next time, we won't have to pick them, because they didn't do what they say we was gonna do.
Mhm.
But other than that, we just sit here and wait. We'll just sit a while and talk and wait for AJ to come on. Um, Continue to pray for the families who were shot on LG Street. Uh, so y'all continue to pray for those two families, because there was two people that were killed on that incident. And also Coach Sweat, pray for his family. Philip Sweat, pray for his family as well. Um, and anybody who's bereaving right now, just pray for the families and continue, keep them lifted, because they need your prayers.
When
Um,
was the I'm sorry, when was the shooting on LG on you said LG Street?
LG and Elgin Avenue A.
Oh, okay. That was
Mhm.
today?
That was last week.
Oh, okay.
Last week. I think they have someone in custody for that. I can't remember whether they did, whether they are, but just the family. I know they're going through through some hardship, so we
Mhm.
have to pray for them. Otherwise, I don't know if they found the people or what.
Mm.
So other than that, we just wait. Monday. Oh, she said it was Monday. Kathy said it was Monday. So yeah. Other than that, we just sit here and wait for Albert. But Deborah Jones won't sit too long.
Do you want to ask anyone if they have questions to go ahead and submit it to you?
Yeah, they can. If you have any questions to give to Albert, you can go ahead and submit it. So when he comes on, that we'll know what to ask him, and I will throw it out to him. Because I have my questions, Tori have her questions, and we would like the audience to be involved in questioning these candidates, because you know what you want. You know what you want Beaumont to have. You know how you want Beaumont to be fixed up. Beaumont needs a lot of work, and we got to hold these people accountable for who's working in Beaumont right now. So, and there's money out there. They just have to know how to utilize it. And so, one thing, come fix my street. that that's enough utilization right there. I'm gonna utilize and fix my street. Yeah, because infrastructure is big in Beaumont, big, and I'm sure everywhere else. But I'm not worried about everywhere else. I'm worried about Beaumont, Texas. So with that being said, um, we just sit here and wait. With Toya, you have anything?
No, ma'am, I do not.
Or
What
you just waiting for AJ, huh?
I am waiting to ask Mr. Turner what else is he going to do, because he has pretty much nailed his platform from the last 2 years.
But
So,
there's still work to be done.
oh, it's a whole lot of work to be done, especially your street.
Especially my street. You better recognize if it ain't my street, it's my area, just my little area right there, right there.
Hmm.
So like I said, like we said, go ahead and put your questions out there. I know y'all have questions y'all want to ask, and he'll be popping in pretty soon. You know how busy he is, and
Yes.
so we just wait for him to pop in. So like I said, I'm trying to get at least all of them on. Um, they have 5 candidates running for
At
at large
large.
councilman, yeah, running for at large. And so I think I nailed 2 of them already. We had Gita on Monday, Tuesday last night. We had
Mr. Cooper.
Michael Cooper, And tonight we're having AJ, and then Friday we'll have in the mayoral race, which is with Royal West from 3 to 4. So, and I know a lot of you guys be at work, but you can see the results after you come from work, or if you sneak in the restroom, you could come in, go in there and type your
Mhm.
questions in. So I'm trying to get more on.
And
Um,
I do have a question for those people who cannot tune in at 3 o'clock. Can they send you questions to ask Mr. West?
yes, most definitely put in my DM, and then I'll go in there and get it out and ask him. AJ is just popping in, so let's go ahead and talk to AJ Turner.
How you guys doing?
Mr. Turner, how are
Hi.
you doing tonight?
Man, I had a
Hello.
speaking engagement and it ran over a little bit.
Oh, no problem. Like I told him, y'all know he's busy, and just we just gonna have to sit here and wait for him. But I know how to talk until you get here.
Everybody like to hear y'all talk anyways. I mean,
Oh,
we got two queens on the phone. People like to hear y'all.
oh, see. Well, we have some people on, and they they're putting their questions on, so I'm gonna go to them later. But before we go to them, thank you for coming on to Blue Table Talk tonight. And so, as we always do, and everybody, we know everybody know you, AJ. But can you please give a little synopsis about yourself? And there's a little feedback. And do you have any earplugs?
I'm not getting any feedback.
Oh, do y'all hear feedback?
I
It's like
hear like an echoing sound.
echoing. Mm-hmm.
Yes, ma'am. On your end.
On
Let
my
me.
end?
No, on Mama D end. I can hear echoing.
I'm about to mute.
Okay, great.
Okay, Mr.
So
Turner, give us a little synopsis about who you are.
Yes, ma'am. I'm a husband. Most importantly, I love my beautiful wife, Ashley Turner. That's the love of my life, and she's one of my wives. I have four beautiful daughters. I have a 13-year-old, a 5-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 2-year-old. So I'm a girl dad. So I'm a husband. I'm a girl dad. I'm dedicated to progress, and I'm committed to this community. I'm an entrepreneur. I have a contract with Amazon. That's one of the fastest growing companies in the world, and we deliver packages. So I'm Amazon DSP Director of Operations. So that's what I do full time for a living, day to day operations. But most importantly, with City Council, I'm in my first term, and I've learned a lot. It's a lot of things I realize now. When you're running, you can say one thing, but when you actually get in the seats, it's a huge different level of transitioning and learning it takes to get things done. And if you don't have the ability to work as a group, you will not be successful as a council member. So there's some things that I've learned very quickly, and I took full advantage of it during my first term. Often you see people say during their first term, they kind of want to sit back, listen, and learn, but I listen and learn, but it's also important to be very aggressive about getting things done because if you're not aggressive, you won't make a lot of progress on the council. So, that's a little bit about me in a nutshell. I'm ready to answer questions, so let's fire away.
well, AJ, I know you pretty much you accomplished everything you set out to do. What else do you have up your sleeve? What else do you want to do and bring to Beaumont?
One of the biggest things I noticed that in the city of Beaumont, just like a business, I want to get in there and assess and look at all the things and the way the city functions, day to day operations. I want to assess it and I want to see what needed to be done to enhance it and make it better. So during my first year, I learned a lot. I analyzed it as if it was my business and I assessed a lot of things and I seen where we were weak at as a city. So now my next goal is everywhere I felt like we were weak, we need to really strengthen in those departments.
So why did you decide to run again for councilman? Couldn't you run for something else, or just why did you decide just to run for councilman again?
Well, the reality is the way city council works is when you get on the council, you're operating a whole year under a budget that you had no input on. And when you're operating under a budget that you had no input on, you can't be as effective as you want to be. Prime example, the budget was allocated for $130,000 in parks. I'm a big quality of life guy. You know, I'm big on family oriented things, and we only able to fix one park a year on $130,000. But we now allocated 1.46 million, and we went from fixing one park to 8 parks. So I operated for a whole year under a budget that I actually had no say so in. And now the budget that we actually do have say so in, and we're in this budget season, I'm already running for election. So this budget season, we only been in for a few months, and I'm already running for re-election. So the reality is, these terms on city council are extremely short when it comes to getting things done. Because the fact of the matter is, you operate off the budget, and you want to be fiscally conservative and not dive into the budget. And I'm actually now finally operating the budget that I had say so in.
I'm sorry. What are you most proud of from the previous time or the time now that you that while you're on the council? What are you most proud about?
My most proudest moment, honestly, I hate to be like this, Miss Deborah. I have a few, but my most proudest moment I would say is to be able to bring a grocery store to the North End and a community that everybody said was a food desert. I think it's important that people understand council members are the movers and shakers in the community. We say economic development, but how many people are physically really bringing economic development to our communities? Not only bringing businesses, but bringing businesses that our communities actually need. And that's what I mean by assessing and evaluating the problems in the city of Beaumont and proactively going out there and solving them with solutions. And that North End was considered a food desert. You know, the median age in Beaumont is 36. The median income per household is $42,000, unfortunately. And we got to do a better job as city leaders bringing things to certain parts of the community and not making people have to drive all over town to get there. And that was one of my priorities when I realized it was a food desert. And I really started on that project in 2019. That was 2 years before I was even elected. It just took all the way to 2023 to get it done. So that's just a glimpse of the timeline in which it takes to get things done. I mean, you can get things done quickly, but in government, I'm gonna be honest, it's a slow timeline. But if you don't have leadership pushing to expedite staff and get things done, it takes 4 people to push that way, 4 or more. If you don't have people push.
We can see you now. Oh,
Y'all can see me now? Yeah, somebody called. I'm sorry.
that's okay.
I think we lost Miss Deborah. I guess I'm the only one on the show. Hey guys, hope everything's going all right.
But let me see. Hold on, Toya. Let me get all y'all on.
Okay.
Okay, there you go.
And
Better.
another thing I just wanted to piggyback on. When I ran, I was big on youth engagement. I think we need to really pay attention to substance of platforms and what we want to do and hold everybody elected accountable, including myself, on doing the things that you say you're going to actually do.
Right.
And I pride
Exactly.
myself in physically doing the things that I say I'm going to do. So youth engagement, one thing I accomplished this year, I did a youth talent show. And with that youth talent show, I was able to put kids on the big stage in front of thousands of people, and they were able to showcase their talent. And I want to show kids bigger than athletics to use your talents in other ways, because Beaumont is full of talent. I want to put it on display. So we gave out $1,000 to first place, $700 to second place, $500 to third place, and that event was completely free to the community. And the biggest thing I wanted to accomplish was a youth council. I feel like if we're gonna have youth incentives, if we're gonna have youth ideas, what better place to get it from the actual young people that live in this community? And we now do have a youth council, and I've been able to take those kids to Dallas and as far as to Washington D.C. So those kids actually got to hear the first lady speak live, and I really pride myself on getting things done. That youth council hasn't been active since 2015. So it was a challenge to get things done. But what I will say is, if you don't have a majority of council, and every council member supported bringing youth council back, but you got to take the time out, spend with those kids, and make this thing go.
Okay, let me speak to my audience for a minute. Everyone, we have Albert Turner on. Everybody know him as AJ on the podcast tonight. Go ahead and hit your share button. Let people know that he's on because sharing is caring. And we need to ask questions with Albert Turner to see where he's going this time with City Councilman and what he's accomplished. I know he's accomplished a lot of things, and everybody know that. And we appreciate the story in the North End, Mr. Turner. We appreciate that because it's a big help. Because like you said, people down on Nucleus or wherever, they don't have a lot of them don't have transportation. So that store is real close where they go. I haven't been in it yet, but I heard it was so nice. And so thank you for that. But we still have a lot of problems in Beaumont, and one of the problems is infrastructure. We know that. And that, I mean, like I said to other candidates, infrastructure just on my street, just in front of my house, is horrible. When it rains, everything backs up, and I've been fighting this for 10 years. And so I wonder if you guys could, if that's more prevalent to y'all than anything else, or is that one of the issues that's prevalent to y'all?
Yes, ma'am. Infrastructure is a huge issue in the city of Beaumont, and I'm going to be transparent. I'm not going to sugarcoat it like we don't have issues. We do. But the reality is, if you don't have an aggressive approach to solving issues, there will continue to be issues. So what we did with infrastructure this year, this is the most money in the history of Beaumont that a city council has put into sewer and drainage and streets. If you look at the previous budgets, I challenge people to fact check me. I think often politicians as well as candidates say things and we don't fact check it. So I think it's very important in leadership that we're transparent when we spread messages and we say things that is actual factual information. So as far as infrastructure, we started something called the citywide ditching program. And Ms. Deborah, I know I know exactly where you live. You live back there by a canal. And it's extremely important that people understand when it comes to infrastructure, the ditches are extremely important to how things flow when rain in the city of Beaumont. To be completely transparent again, the city of Beaumont is an older city, roughly 138 years old. So infrastructure in certain communities is a lot older than other communities. One thing about being on council is you have to learn quick. Do I have a degree in engineering and infrastructure? Absolutely not. But I study it and I educate myself on it, and I can talk to the magnitude of some things about it. So one of the things when it comes to infrastructure is we have a lot of older pipes. And with the older pipes, we need the new PVC pipes. So in the newer neighborhoods that you see in West End, which is Wards 2 and Wards 1, these newer neighborhoods had this type of piping. But our older neighborhoods, which are the heart of our community, which I would say is in Ward 3 and Ward 4, some of these neighborhoods were developed in the 50s, the 60s, and the 70s, and they have the older pipes. So we started something called a pipe bursting program. And the city of Beaumont, with the pipe bursting program, we go in and we burst the pipes and we replace them with new piping. But the reality is, when we replace it with new piping, something has to take place on the owner side. I'm a firm believer, not pointing fingers. So so what I feel like we need to do in the city of Beaumont, and this is something I want to do in the future, we have something called community block grant. So, but it has to be in low to moderate income areas. So older areas are areas that's considered to be low to moderate income. And in those areas, you can't use CDBG funding. And for people who don't know what that means, that's community block grant funding. You can use that to replace the piping. The city can cover up to 50% of piping to assist homeowners who might not have the funds to do it. So the reality is it has to be a partnership in making these things work. And sewer and drainage is a big problem in the city of Beaumont. And we do a lot when it comes to pipe bursting, and we have a citywide ditching program. And we already did Wards 2 and Wards 4, the first phase, and we have Wards 1 and Wards 3 coming up the second phase. And Miss Deborah, what I will do personally, since you say you've been talking about this, and I know you have, I will check with staff to see where your address is on that and make sure yours get addressed as well. Because when it comes to culverts, anything over 3 inches,
the city goes in and replaces the culverts as well. But anything under 3 inches, we don't replace. And I think it's important when we talk about infrastructure with candidates, we don't duck and dodge the question, we actually answer it. So our wastewater treatment plant is located in the Terrell Park area, and it can take up to, I wrote the information down so I can make sure I give you accurate information. Basically, the wastewater treatment plant can take up to a certain capacity of water, and we're only getting 50% of the capacity of water to that treatment plant. So the reality is it can take more, but if we have infiltration in our sewer and drainage when it rains, it won't make it and it'll back up in houses. And that's old bad pipes. So we need to replace those pipes on our end, and we need to assist residents on their end, helping them replace it. And we have community block grant funding to do that in the low to moderate income areas.
Now you know I'm gonna hold you accountable for that.
You're not low to moderate income though. I know where you live. That's not low to moderate income.
We're gonna act like I'm on the low income.
Nuh-uh. But I know where you live. That's not low to moderate income. See, I said I'm gonna be transparent. Now, in certain areas in the North End, it is, but Miss Deborah, unfortunately, your area, that's one of the good areas. You're not low to moderate income. But you do have a ditch. And if that ditch is less than 3, if it's the culvert is 3 inches or more, we will replace the culverts. And I think it's important that you grade the ditches in order to let the water flow. But it's also important that when we cut the grass, when we throw trash out, we clog up our ditches. So I think the community needs to know they can do their part by, when you cut your grass, don't blow it in the ditch. Blow it back off in the grass. When you see people throw things in a ditch, we got to pick it up and clean our ditches. So I have participated in cleaning initiatives in the South Park area where we go out and clean those ditches. But I think it's important that we get more familiar with that Adopt the Street program, and we get back to cleaning up our community, cleaning out those ditches so that water can flow.
Okay, AJ, I don't want you to go forth right now, because right now you blacked out. I don't know what happened to your computer or what, but no one can see you. You are blacked out. So
I don't know what's going on. I can see all y'all.
I mean, we can hear you, but we just can't see you. And I like to see a person. I like to look at a person when they're talking to me.
I'm looking you in your eyes right now, but I don't know why mine's blocked out. Do you want me to log in and log back in? Log out and log back in?
Right, you can do that, and then I'm gonna ask some of these questions.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. I see your questions coming through, and I will address them. Have AJ address them when he comes back in. I know, Roscoe, I know you hear like a distortion on my end. I don't know what's happening, maybe because I'm in another area. I'm not at my residence right now. I'm in another area, and maybe it's the see when he went out, you don't hear the static. It's when he come back in is when I hear it. But it may be the area that I'm in, but it's all good. Just kind of listen close, and Gigi and Kathy, those are questions we always ask. Why do they have to have a 2-year term and not a 4-year term? I don't know. It has to be written in the law. So until it's written there, they're gonna keep doing it. So let's see. Let's see. AJ's coming back in. Okay, talk to me.
Yes, ma'am. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, perfect.
And we can see you. That was the key. We can hear you. We just couldn't see you.
Yes, ma'am.
Let me go to my viewers. They want to know. Some of them want to know why do you guys have a 2-year term instead of a 4-year term?
Well, I'm glad we asking this. Actually, this upcoming Tuesday, I have on the agenda, and with some support from Councilmember Chris Durio, that we look into extending our terms and we explore the option of term limits. I think it's important that we look at all the options, but the ultimate responsibility falls on the citizens of Beaumont, because we would have to do a charter change. So if we did a charter change, the citizens will have to either vote it up or down. The council doesn't have the authority to pick how long we serve or anything to that magnitude, but per our charter, we can't bring it to the voters, and the voters can't either say yes, we want to extend y'all terms, or no. And I'm a big believer of putting those type of decisions in the voters' hands, because I don't feel like anybody should have that kind of control when you're talking about people's tax dollars and you talk about representing the community.
Yes. Roscoe Compton says in those low to moderate income areas, they don't have covers. Dishes used to be dug out. Why can't this be reinstated?
I would ask Mr. Roscoe to, if it's a specific area he's talking about, to email me at aj.turner@beaumonttexas.gov, and we can get staff to come out there and look at it. And I don't mind coming meet staff and look at it with him. But that's my email, and everybody has my phone number as well, so I don't mind sharing it. 409-659-0053. If I don't answer, I'm probably in the meeting or talking to somebody, but if you shoot me a text, I get back with you. So I would prefer to look at that with staff so I can give Mr. Roscoe an adequate answer. I'm not going to just shoot from the hip.
He said, Roscoe said it's the South End and Hollywood Village area.
Okay. Well, we can get out there with staff and we can look at it together, because I feel like we need to assess all problems and look at it together to see what we can do to come with a solution. So I would love to go out there and visit it with Mr. Roscoe.
Okay, so I know you had a lot of goals when you were in office, and you're still in office, but I know you had a lot of goals. Did you pursue all of them, or what are your goals for this term coming up?
My goals for this turn is, after assessing the things in the city of Beaumont, I want to make sure we have every tool we need in order to be successful as far as staff. And this upcoming budget season, I want to make sure we budget the proper staff members we are missing. Specifically in the water department, one of my goals is to make sure we have a PE, which is an engineer. I've evaluated other water departments in other cities, and most of those water departments have their own PE, the ones that are actually successful, not having issues. Now we have a PE in the city of Beaumont as an engineer over the whole city, but I think with the water issues we have in Beaumont, we need a PE solely focusing on sewer and drainage, because that's a big issue in Beaumont. So I think that issue needs its own particular person focusing on that. So one of my goals is to make sure in the budget season I advocate and make sure we get a PE. Also, a position I would like to see come into existence is a grant writer. In the city of Beaumont, we have roughly 118,000 people, and there's so much money we leave on the table simply because we don't go after it. So once again, within the enter budget season, and one of the things I'm going to advocate, be very consistent on, is getting us a grant writer full-time on staff, because the reality is, when you get some of that revenue from the grants, it would offset the money that we're spending on that position. So I really think we need a grant writer.
Cool. Let me go to my co-host to see if she have anything to say.
AJ, how many terms do you think? Can y'all hear me? How many terms do you
Yes,
think
ma'am.
would be a good term for you to get something accomplished, get a lot accomplished? Like 8 years, 6 years?
My honest opinion, I think 8 to 9 years. You should be able to get things done on the council. It's not a shot at anybody who's been there, but I think you should be able to accomplish what you need to accomplish in roughly 8 to 9 years. And you should have contingencies in place and try to find more talent, because I think Beaumont is full of talented people. So I think 8 to 9 years, you should be able to get what you want to accomplish in your seat. And if you want to run for another seat, like let's just say you Ward 2, I think you should get 8 to 9 years in Ward 2. And after 8 to 9 years, you should term out, and you can either run for at-large or run for mayor. But I think we should always be progressive and be looking to move up and keep the city fresh and innovative.
How many seats they have for at large candidate?
The city of Beaumont, the way it operates is currently is the mayor seat. You have 2 seats at large, and you have 4 ward seats. So when you vote, you get 4 votes. But one thing I learned with this charter change is, when it comes to at large, the way the city of Beaumont does it is the highest 2 vote getters. So you get to vote twice, but whoever gets the highest 2, those are the 2 who win. But one of the things that's unfortunate, in my opinion, is I'm a firm believer of everybody standing on their own 2 feet. With that being said, when you're running for Ward 1, you go head to head with who you want to challenge as if you feel like you can do a better job. Ward 2, Ward 3, Ward 4, and the mayor seat. Everybody has to stand on their own 2 feet. So if we did switch to 3-year terms, Texas law states that if you switch to 3-year terms, the at-large seat will still be the whole city of Beaumont get to vote for you, but it'll be place 1 and place 2, or seat A and seat B. So now if you feel like you can do a better job than the person in that seat, you don't say I'm running for 2 seats. You get to challenge them, and everyone has the opportunity to stand on their own 2 feet versus voting twice. I think it's important that, every elected official, be able to stand on their own 2 feet. And if you want to challenge somebody, you can specifically say, I feel like I can do a better job than this person. You can run against that person.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. That's
Because
really
I think
good.
with this at-large race, a lot of people are confused, and I think the reality is to eliminate confusion, make it simple, just like every other race. Who you want to run against, you get to run against that particular person.
Well, tell me, what is the issue you wish you handled or approached differently during your term while you were in the seat, in council seat?
What's one that I wish I could approach differently?
Mm-hmm.
I'm
If there
trying to
is
think
one.
of one of the tough decisions we had to make. I feel like if I can go change anything, I think we should do way more nighttime meetings. I think when it comes to that, we should do way more nighttime meetings, because the reality is
And
most
people
people
be able to
work
see it.
at
Most
1:30
people
p.m.
work.
Yeah. So if I could do anything differently, I would like to do more nighttime meetings. And I really pride myself on being able to get things done with every council member, no matter if you're Republican, Democrat, white, black, male, female. That was one of my goals, to be able to say I accomplished one initiative with everybody on that council. And I did actually accomplish that this year. I accomplished an initiative with every single council member because, like I said earlier, the reality is it takes a majority to get anything done. No one
Right.
person can accomplish anything by themselves. And that's one of the toughest things I learned when I first got on the council. You can have a million ideas, but if you don't have the support of the body, you won't get anything accomplished. So even when you run, you got to be, mindful of, some of the things you say, some of the relationships you can hurt. You got to be professional, because the reality is some of these same people that you can attack and go after, you have to turn around and work with them.
Work
So
with them.
it's always better to be professional when you're running for these seats, because these are the same people you're going to depend on to get your platform done. And if you can't depend on your core group of people to get things done, you won't accomplish much. So that's one of the biggest lessons I learned, that city council is a team sport. It's no I show, it's a we show.
Say if you are not elected for this term, how would you continue to advocate for the issues of Beaumont, Texas?
I think anybody who knows me know I've been active in the community prior to being elected. I give you an example. I have an event called Hoops for Toys, where I have business owners, law enforcement, and we play a basketball game. We raise toys for areas and underprivileged areas. This year was my 9th annual event. So the reality is, if I've been doing it for 9 years and I've been dedicated and consistent, it shows that I'm consistently dedicated to this area. That's just one example. My back to school drives. I've been doing back to school drives for 8 years. So the reality is, I've been doing some of these things for my community way prior to me being elected, and I would never stop, because, like I said, I'm on the council because I'm, very passionate about my community. And I think it's really important that we look at the substance and how long people have been advocating and physically doing things. I think that plays a big role when you look at them actually being in office, because it's proof.
Right.
We all can advocate and say we're going to do anything, but the reality is a pair of lips can say anything, but what's the proof? What's the fruits and the labor behind it? And I think it's important that you have this substance, have that proof that you're physically really in this community. And some of my annual events show that. I've been doing this way before I became on council, and I'm blessed for the community even supporting some of the things I do.
Let me talk to the audience. Listen, audience. Hey guys, if you don't forget, if you have any questions you want to ask AJ Turner, please go ahead and put it on the comment page. You know, we all have to vote, and we got to know our candidates before we vote. So, and then when we put them in there, we got to hold them accountable for what they say and what they do. Okay, so
Yes, ma'am.
Toya.
I had a question. As for, I want to say it's called Debate Club in the high schools. Do you guys ever go out there and talk to those children because maybe they would like to be on council one day?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Some of the children that's actually on the current youth council are on debate teams at their school. One of the students won a national, not a national, won a state championship at Westbrook High School in the past. It's a young man named Sam, and he's actually serving as the city manager on the youth council right now. So that's what I mean by we have so much talent with our youth. And if we as leaders don't teach them how to be involved and how to make decisions in government, why would we expect them to come back and run for some of these positions to impact the community they were raised in? I want to shout out David Moore. When I was actually in high school, he had a youth council, and I participated in that when I was in high school. So I learned about government way before I even came back to the city of Beaumont, and I actually ran for SGA president at my college, and that was all because I was exposed to it in high school. So that was my goal with some of these students in Beaumont. We need to expose them to these things early, so now they can come back and be effective and shine that light wherever they grow. Because I feel like in Beaumont, wherever you go, Beaumont people rise to the top. Look at our athletes. Look how successful some of them are. And we have people doing great things in business all over the world. So I'm real proud of the talent Beaumont produces.
Okay, so Shirley Blunt says, how can we get help about the speeding on their streets? Because she's afraid that their children might get hit by people speeding.
And I know exactly where Miss LeBlanc lives. She lives on 8th Street. One thing that I will say that I was very impressed with that community as a community. They had the children at play signs in all their yards. One thing with private street, with city streets, we have to do speed studies. So what we do with a speed study, we have equipment that we set up for a few months, and we monitor the speeds. And based on the equipment, if the people are speeding, we either reduce the lanes or put different signals to slow the traffic down. With Ada, it's kind of tough because it's a residential neighborhood, but I think something that could be explored is something on the magnitudes of maybe a speed bump. Because you see in some neighborhoods, you have these speed bumps that'll slow traffic down.
Right,
But we
right.
have to make sure all the residents are on board with that, because some residents may be happy with a speed bump, but some residents may be uncomfortable. But for me, I'm all about safety first. So if it's something in reference to safety, I'm gonna always support safety over convenience. So I definitely think that's something we can do. Miss Cheryl, we can get a speed study started on 8th Street. And based upon that speed study, it'll let you know if the speeding is too bad on that street or not. Sarah Street is a prime example of where a speed study was recently done. And since there were speeding on Sarah Street, they reduced those lanes down from 2
We
lanes
reduce them.
to 1
Yes,
lane. A lot of the
yes,
community, some people were upset about it, but the reality is people were speeding, and speeding has slowed down significantly since we've done that.
right. Even
8th Street is a
their
single
school
lane.
zone.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, 8th
Yes,
Street is a single lane though. So the only thing I can think of is based upon the speed study, maybe some speed bumps on that street since it's a neighborhood.
right. Well, since you all about safety, since you're all about safety, what about the school shooting? I don't know if the city council is involved with the district or whatever, but what about the school shooting? Do the school district, law enforcement agency look for ways to ensure schools safety? Because that's a problem. Because you never know what'll happen. If so, what plans do you have when it comes to school safety, and what policy can you enact?
And see, Miss Deborah, I think this is an opportunity to show people that you got to understand what you're over and what you have jurisdiction over. Unfortunately, as a city councilman, we have no jurisdiction over BISD whatsoever. What we can do is work with them and support them, but we have no jurisdiction over BISD. The only
Okay.
people who control it is the school board. And
Okay.
you know, as a councilman, I want to make sure people understand that we don't have jurisdiction over BISD. We
Because
don't
you know that
control their
because
school.
then you know they look towards your way. You know
Yes, ma'am.
what is the city council doing? What is so now they know you have no
Mhm.
you're not involved in that.
Yeah, all we can do is work with and support BISD, which is what I do. But those decisions are made on the school board level. The school board runs BISD. We run the city, and we support BISD. I think it's important that people understand city council members do not run BISD. We can't. We don't have the authority.
Right. Toya, I saw you came through.
I wanted to ask him something, but I totally forgot. I didn't want to interrupt them, so
Yeah. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
Mr. Turner, what distinguishes you from other candidates?
My ability to get things done. I think the reality is, like I told you earlier, actions speak a lot louder than words. And anybody who know me, I've been actively, physically doing things in this community consistently for a long time. I haven't popped in and popped out. I've been very consistent. And another thing that distinguishes me is, Miss Deborah, the median age in Beaumont, Texas is 35. So if you add all our ages together and you put them together and you do the median age, it's 35 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And in this race, I'm the only candidate that is in that median age. But the difference is I don't want people to vote for me because I'm the only candidate that's in that median age. I want people to vote for me because my ability to get things done and my proven track record about getting things done and my understanding that I have to listen to people in order to get things done and my ability to work with everybody else. So vote for me because of my qualifications, my experience, and how hard I will go for the city of Beaumont. You know, you can always say why to vote for you, but I think if people know and they follow city government and they follow what I've done in my first term, I'm excited to see what I can do in the future.
Right, right.
I do have something to say, AJ.
Yes, ma'am.
A lot of people concern is with Beaumont Police Department, and I've seen you the relationship you have, and you vote for the right things. So
Mm-hmm.
can you tell us about a little bit about your relationship with the police department and how you are so active still in the community just because you're on council?
Man, I think one of the most unfortunate things that you see in our communities is specifically my age group and younger. You see people with the mentality of, snitches get stitches. We don't talk to cops. But the reality is, if you won't communicate with cops on some of the things that's going on negatively in your neighborhood, it'll continue to stay that way. I don't want to speak on the magnitude of one of my closest friends was shot. Anybody may know him. God bless his soul, Antonio Wilson. The reality is he was shot, and some of his cases still unsolved due to the fact that we as a community have the mentality that we don't speak to law enforcement. But I think it's a double-edged sword. In order to have the opportunity to trust to speak to law enforcement, we have to make our law enforcement be held accountable and physically in all parts of the community. It's important that in order to build relationships, it's all about trust. And if you're not physically in our community, working with us, playing with us, communicating with us in a positive way, you won't have that trust. So I don't fault my community for not having that trust, but the reality is we need to have a better accountability system where we can build that trust. And I will say I have worked with the police department and they do something whereas they pop up at parks and they work with our youth. They've done it at Magnolia Park. They've done it at Sprout Park. They've done it at Alice Keith Park. They've done it at various parks throughout our communities. And we can be transparent here. They've been in the hood. And it's important that you see cops in the hood in a positive light. You don't want to always see an instance where someone's getting arrested or possibly harassed. I want to I want to amend our cops because they have stepped up and went in our communities in a positive light. And I will say, I sat down with the police chief and he worked with me on that. Another thing we did is we started a nightlife task force. We know it was a shooting recently in the West End at a daiquiri lounge. It's important that we get ahead of these things. We have to work together. I got all the club owners in Beaumont. All the bar owners in Beaumont sat down and told me all the problems they had. I met with the police department and I presented the problems to the police department. Now we're at the third phase where the police department is saying we can do A, B, C, D to solve these problems these club owners have. And we're going to come with a massive plan called the Nightlife Task Force. And we're going to roll it out to the community that these are the things we're going to do in order to improve safety and nightlife in Beaumont. Because once again, I said earlier, the median age in Beaumont is 36. It's a young city. So you're going to have bars, you're going to have clubs. If you don't have that, you'll lose some young people because young people like to go do that. We always young at one point. T, Miss Deborah, we used to like to go out, right? So it's important that we protect the people who want to do that. So as a community, we got to put our heads together and work together to protect those people. And that's one instance in a positive way we work with law enforcement to get that done. But you got to be able to come to the table with a positive mentality to do that and hold them accountable when they're wrong.
We can't hear you.
Someone says, once you're reelected, what three things are on your priority list to do as a city councilman?
One of the first things on my priority list is we really need to get more aggressive when it comes to infrastructure. When I mean by more aggressive, I'm talking about the pipe bursting and I'm talking about this citywide ditching program. It's a 5-year citywide ditching program. We got to do a better job of being transparent with the community and let them know what's going on. Ms. Deborah, I want to ask you, what are some ways you think we can do better communicating with the community about some of the things we have going on? We have our City of Beaumont website. We have our City of Beaumont Facebook page. But I think it's important people in marketing like you, what are some things we can do better to get the message out to the community about what's going on?
Of course, being visible. You have all these pages, but a lot of people not on Facebook. You have and a lot of people don't even deal with the computer part of it. But by you being and since COVID happened, I got to bring that back in. Since COVID happened, a lot of people don't go out, and by you being visible, but trust me, they see you. They see you. Oh, if they don't see you, they didn't heard about it. So being visible, going out to the communities, and you've got to go to the community. Because some people say the only reason why they're here is because they want to be elected. And we don't see them any other time. So you've got to be visible in every community. I know it's rough, but it has to happen.
And yes, ma'am. And that's why I'm glad you said that. I pride myself on that. And I wanted to get your opinion because that's what I mean. You have to ask people for some of the things that you want to see done in the city. So one of the main priorities I would have, the number one priority is sewer and drainage. I don't think we need to be focused on anything else until we take care of the basic necessities. My second priority is creating something solid for downtown revitalization.
Amen.
We already made the first step. We broke ground on Riverfront 2 days ago. We broke ground. So the first step is done. The second step we're doing is we have a downtown committee that we put together. And on this committee, we have people who own property downtown and different leaders in downtown and different leaders throughout the entire community on this downtown committee. And what they're doing is they're helping the city come with a strategic plan. And while they're helping, we have done various events in the community where people can show up and put their input in. So I think one of the things we lack in Beaumont is we make decisions and we leave out the people, the citizens, in making those decisions. So downtown plan, I think is very important. It's evident, it's crucial that we involve the community in making those decisions, saying what we would like to see in our downtown. I think we need community buy-in, and we've been doing that.
And Mr. Turner, you want to involve the community, but you can't leave out certain people. You see what I'm saying?
That's why I said.
Huh?
The entire community, like Miss Deborah, we had an event at the event center. It wasn't a select group that was invited. We invited the entire community to the event center, and they got to come out and select things that they would like to see happen downtown in the city of Beaumont. And we had over 100 people come out. And that's what I mean. When in the past in the city of Beaumont have you seen the city invite people out and physically have input on how they would like their city be.
Right.
Prime example, even how
Got
we've been
done. Right.
celebrating success in Beaumont. You know, since I've been on council, I've been real serious about taking more pride in Beaumont. Beaumont United Boys, they made history. It's
Right.
important we celebrate. In the past, I don't feel like we celebrated people like Beaumont United. I don't feel like we
Right.
celebrated people like Alexis Morris. On my
We-
watch, since I've been on the council, I push to make sure we celebrate the wins in Beaumont. We celebrate
Right.
the positive things. We see negative press all the time, but we have great things going on in Beaumont. I want
Great
to make sure
things.
people know
Right.
about that.
Right.
And my third goal I want to accomplish is more sense of community pride and buy-in. I think it's very important that people understand we have to have more community pride in Beaumont. And pride ain't just what you say. I don't want to see people throwing trash out their vehicles. I don't want to see people throwing trash on the side of the freeways. I want people to take pride in having a nice, clean community. And if somebody throw trash out, we need to check them. If somebody talking negative about Beaumont, we need to check them. I don't mind people identifying the problems, but if you ain't working on us to come with a solution and you just talking about the problems, I am not.
Yeah.
I'm
Right.
all about
Exactly.
solution driven, and that's what I mean by taking more pride in Beaumont. Like if it's problems, we get it. Everything has problems. I'm not running from no problems. We talked about sewer and drainage tonight. I didn't run from it. We have a lot of work to do. Just because we spend the most money in the history of Beaumont don't mean we done enough. We have a
Right.
lot of work. But we
Right.
also talked about some of the solutions that we have in place. We didn't have those in the past, but now we have them. So I think it's
Right.
important to execute our strategic plans and address the problems with solutions. And I think the whole community needs to be a part of that. We got to do this
Exactly.
together.
Exactly.
I have two.
Go ahead.
I have two questions. When you were talking about like the drainage, and you have these guys that cut grass, you ever think, well, why don't we fine them? If you give them a fine, then they'll stop doing it,
And
like the
that's another
lawn
thing.
service.
And that's another thing that I want to talk to you about, T. Like we need to strengthen up on our ordinance. And what I mean by ordinances, we have thousands of ordinances, but with the charter committee, we also need an ordinance committee. We need people in Beaumont that are solely dedicated to looking at those ordinances and strengthening them up. Because I agree with you. They need to be fined for putting it in the ditches. They need to be fined for throwing it out the window. We need to figure out strategic ways we can hold people accountable when they do wrong. So I agree 100% with you, and I will support and I will advocate to have an ordinance committee as well. I agree. That's something I
Okay.
was thinking about.
And my last question for you: can you tell us some things that you would like to see, them bringing in downtown Beaumont?
I'm gonna go back and reiterate this.
Okay.
The biggest thing when it comes to making plans for the entire city and as an individual, if you don't involve the entire community, you're talking as an individual.
Right.
Anybody can say what they want to do, but the
Right.
reality is, if you don't have
Doing it.
buy-in from the entire community, you might want to put a Ferris wheel in the front. But if the majority of the community don't want it, as a leader, we should never speak out and say what we gonna do, because we need to
True.
make sure we have buy-in from the community, and that's what the
Mm-hmm.
community wants, or at least the mass
Right.
majority of the community. So I think when it comes to downtown, my job is to execute the vision that our community puts in place. Yeah, I have great ideas. I can present them to the community, but if the majority
Mhm.
doesn't buy into my ideas, I don't think I should try to force that on people.
Yeah.
What I would like to see is our Riverfront Connect to our event center with the water features. The reality is everybody says that, but I'm an honest guy. The city of Beaumont created this plan in 2008.
Mm-hmm.
This been in existence. But the reality is if you don't have a vehicle to get there, the plan will never
Right.
get executed. That's why we have a downtown committee group. We have community buy-in, and we'll roll out a plan, not only that's a vision, but a way to execute and get there. And I think that's one of the most important things. Everybody can talk about what they want to do, but let's be real. How are you going to do it?
How you gonna do
What
it?
is your plan to do it?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I see the clock on the wall telling me that it's time for us to get out of here. And AJ Turner, it has been a pleasure talking to you tonight. Um, give me just your last view on this election. What do you think what do you think the is best for you for the people to elect you again?
Well, I think one of the most unfortunate things is in the city of Beaumont, if you're not happy with the direction it's going in, you got something you can do. You can go out and vote. You can vote for people you believe in. You can vote for people who you see have a vision. You can vote for people you see who have actions to go behind the vision that they see. But the reality is, it's 115,000 people in Beaumont, and 15,000 people vote. So that's less than 10% of the actual population. So we're letting 10% of the people pick the people who's going to make the day-to-day operations for the city
Yeah,
of Beaumont. I don't think that's acceptable because
right,
we have a lot of people who will get on Facebook and complain.
right,
But if you're letting 10% of the people pick the people who make the decisions, complaining on Facebook, yeah, that's a problem, but that's not a part of the solution. So I encourage everybody to look at those numbers. Look and see that we haven't had over 15,000 people vote. And if we haven't had over 15,000 people vote and we have a population of over 115,000 people, it's not good to let that small group control the leaders that make the day-to-day decisions in your community. So for
right.
me, I challenge everybody to not only listen to people's words, but do a background check. Research their proven track record. Research some of the things that they say they've done. Research it.
Yeah,
Make sure it's adequate, factual information, including elected officials, including me. Make sure we fact check our candidates. Make sure our candidates' hearts in the right place, and make sure we're doing it for the right reasons. And I think that's one of the most important things
absolutely,
when it comes to government. You want
absolutely,
genuine leadership that's going to be
absolutely.
physically in your community working hard. And I'm saying it one more time, a pair of lips can say anything,
Yes,
but what have you physically done in this city to make it a better place?
right,
And I'm saying vote for me because it's proven. I may be the youngest, but I have physically, consistently done things in this community to make it a better place. Way before I even thought about this. So I thank y'all for y'all time, and I want people to understand this election is serious.
right.
This election is very serious. It's about the direction and the future in the city of Beaumont.
Mm-hmm.
Don't vote for
Yeah,
your friends. Don't vote for your family. Don't vote for somebody because you like them. Vote for somebody who has the ability to really get things done to change this community. Look at their actions, not their words.
right, right. I've watched you. I've watched you, and the things that you've done and the things that you are doing, and I'm very proud of you. I've been knowing you
Yeah.
for a long time, and like you said, I'm not voting for anyone because I know them. I do my research on. I watch people, and I'm very observant. And but
Yes, ma'am.
like I said, I'm proud of you and the work that you've done. So keep up the good work. And hey, we waiting for the early voting to vote. So early voting, y'all, is April the 24th through May the 2nd. So let's get out there and vote, whether it's early or whether it's on election day, which is May 6th. Toya, I think you had something to say before we close it out.
Now, what number are you on the ballot, AJ?
What
Tell
number are
people
you on the
just look for
ballot?
AJ Turner. It don't even matter. Just look for AJ
No. But for those people, what if somebody can't read? We need to know what number you are on the ballot.
Turner.
She said,
4, gotcha.
Yes, ma'am. But no, man. I wanna take the time out and thank y'all because y'all taking time out of y'all day to interview candidates and make sure the community know who's running and what they stand for. So that's something that people don't understand. It's thankless. Like y'all taking time out y'all day to do this. So T, thank you. Mama
You're
Deb,
welcome.
thank you. I appreciate y'all, okay? I
appreciate
really do
you.
seriously.
Appreciate you.
Because
Not
Thank
y'all
only
are
you.
y'all are physically in the community. Y'all are. Both of y'all.
Yeah.
I
yeah,
respect it.
Yeah.
I love
Thank
you.
you.
So
Yeah, we
Friday,
love him.
Friday on the podcast, we will have Roy West, and he will be on from 3 o'clock p.m. to 4 o'clock p.m. So he's coming on daytime. If you miss him, you can catch him again that night by going on the Facebook page and looking at the video. So anything else? And then next Monday we will have Terry Roy on for he's at large councilman as well. And that's it, Toya.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Good
Oh yeah,
night.
one more thing, Miss Deborah. One more thing. I want y'all to.
I'm invited to dinner. I'm invited to dinner. That's what you gonna say?
I got you. I'm gonna buy y'all some dinner too. But I really want to say this. I want the community to pray for all the candidates. The reason I'm asking that is it is not easy putting yourself out there.
Yeah.
It's not easy putting yourself in the spotlight where you can be attacked, criticized, held accountable. All of that's not easy. So anybody who stepped up and even got their name on the ballot, I just ask the entire community to just pray for them. Because you have to have strength. You have to be strong to stand up and take hits and take attacks and take critiques. And some people may smile in your face and be a whole different person behind your back. So I ask the community to pray for everybody and help everybody be strong. And may the best two candidates in my race win. That's what I ask.
Right.
Great.
Okay. If nothing else, if I can help somebody as I pass along this way, then I know that my labor is not in vain. God bless you and God keep you guys with my prayer. We'll see you on Friday at 3. Okay. Smooches. Bye, Albert. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you.